Welcome to I Heart Geek.
And welcome to another episode of I Heart Geek. I can't wait to do this, and Kevin's wrong. I just want to let everybody know that from the start. First thing I want to talk about, Kevin, you're wrong.
Starting off hot.
Ryan, you're probably wrong too. My co-host Satomi, you're probably closer to right than these two guys.
Ooh,
I just want to let
Dub.
everybody know that.
I think maybe you're going to be wrong the entire time.
We'll see. This is going to be a heated debate a little bit today. Today we are
It's all going to
talking.
be so wrong that it's right.
That's how it works. Today we are talking. We talked before about our favorite games. Yay! Pat myself on the back. This is my favorite. We are now going to be talking about the most influential video games in history. And what does influential mean? Let's try to get a definition of that from. Let's start with Ryan. What is that definition to you of influential game?
Games that moved us to where we are today.
That's a good way of putting it. Yep, and there's so many genres in this that, yeah, we have a lot to talk about. How's everybody doing real quick? Let's get all that out of the way. Before we go on, if you are watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and hit the like. It means a lot to us and it helps us out a lot. If you're listening to us on Apple, please hit the subscribe and give us one of those rating things. Those are really awesome. And see, Satomi just gave you hearts. I can't.
Yes, I hearted.
Can I?
And also,
you hearted in front of all these guys?
I hearted in front of all. Oh my gosh, you guys! I usually do that by myself. I'm so sorry. It must be the peppers. But also make sure that you smash that automatic download. Our Apple listeners, take that little toggle button, hit it to automatic downloads. You can always erase it after you listen. It just
but you won't.
Thank you.
But you won't. You won't.
Because you also join me in the heart. It feels so good when you heart, you guys. Sometimes the pressure just builds up and you have to heart.
Oh,
yeah.
Who would have thought that the older generation on this is the ones that are making the fart jokes?
Hey, who are you calling old?
I didn't say you're old. I just said
don't get much older.
I said that there are two preschoolers in this room right now, and it's not me and it's not Satomi.
Thank you.
Okay, so there will be a lot of weird generational stuff, and this is why I picked the panel that I picked for this. We are all going to have a very different perspective to what is influential because we all started playing at different times for different reasons. So we have a whole list of things that we're going to talk about, but this is what I'm going to ask you guys right off the bat. In your opinion, out of every genre, what is your one most influential game that you want to throw out first? And we can discuss, and we're going to start with Kevin on this one.
Okay, so this game's been...
You're wrong.
What? Yeah, okay.
I'm kidding. It's out. It's out. I had to get it out.
All right, so about 10 years ago, I know this isn't 20, 30, 40 years ago. 10 years ago, a game came out that revolutionized modern RPGs. It's our format for American RPGs that we have now, and that is Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Every single RPG from this point forward, from that, all has done the same format of collectathons, craftings, and they're the ones that have done it right. Exploring. They are your modern. That is the example of your modern RPG.
Can I don't want to say you're wrong on this because it's not like you're wrong, but wouldn't Warcraft be a higher than that? Because Warcraft had all of those things. I was never a Warcraft guy.
Now, Warcraft would be considered an MMO, and that would be the most influential MMO of all time.
Okay, but what's the difference? And honestly, I've never been an MMO guy because I don't like playing with people. I don't like people. What's the difference? What are we talking as far as difference goes?
MMOs are your massive multiplayer online games. So you're going to have 1,000 people on the same server playing together. What you have with games like your Skyrims, your Red Dead Redemption 2s, your any action RPG over the last 10 years, they are your single player collectathon style games where you're crafting and everything else. It's different. MMOs are different than action RPGs, even though they share the same thing. An action RPG is going to have a lot more of a single player base on it than an MMO would.
Okay.
And then for our listeners, I'm sure most of our listeners know, but just to also identify RPG, that's role playing game, correct?
Which is Dungeons and Dragons, only with electric blips instead of
Interactive
yeah.
things.
Your
Yes.
MMO is going to focus on live events, raids, stuff like that are undertaken by groups of people. Your
Now, would
RPGs are going to be
Fortnite be
narrative.
considered an MMO?
No, Fortnite's a
But you're
battle
playing with a
royale
bunch
style
of people.
game. It's
Yeah,
a
Except
battle
except
royale
Fortnite
style.
now has so many different.
It has
It's got
Fortnite's-
battle royale, but it's got also
Yeah.
other. It's got multiple platforms within the same structure.
So
Fortnite could be considered MMO now.
Fortnite's
all
going to be
different things.
considered
Pardon?
something completely different. Fortnite's
Again, this is
an
not to
epic
get out
studio.
on the weeds,
Yeah,
but
yeah. We
it
have
seems
because
like
Fortnite is trying to invent itself
Yeah.
into something new as well as a developer platform and all of that other stuff. So yes, so we're going to take Fortnite and we're going to put it in its own
its
little
own category.
Epic Games is bringing us closer to the Ready Player One world
No,
than any other
Great-
gamer.
Great point.
game
Great
point.
point. Yeah.
which scares me a lot, but we'll get to that in
I-
probably another show. But yeah, that
Yeah,
one's frightens me.
you know, it's Epic Games. I mean, they're making, with adding in like Rocket League stuff and different game modes, they're turning Fortnite into a storefront, which
Mhm.
will
Mhm.
replace the Xbox UI, the PlayStation UI. It will be the front end of the future. You will enter into the game and go branch out from there. 15 years from now, you will not be booting into a game. You will
We have
to the
seen
game
some massive
front.
failures on that so far, the Quest and all that stuff. But that's a different
Yeah.
topic altogether.
Yeah. Let's get back to the
yeah.
influential games.
So tell me, what's your first one you want us to talk about? Influential games.
So I am going back to the old school. Now there is one game that was before it that was the pioneering game called Colossal Cave Adventure, but the game I want to talk about started out with West of House. You are standing in an open field west of a white
text-based?
house with a boarded front door. There is a small mailbox here. I am talking about Zork.
Zork
which
1
was
and 2 and 3.
Which were they were entirely
Mhm.
text-based games, and it was the origin of the rogue RPG.
Mm-hmm.
It really was. So if you're looking at any of the RPGs we play now, it technically started with Colossal Cave Adventure, which was developed by Will Crowther for the PDP-10 mainframe computer. It was played through teleprinters over the ARPANET. This is pre-internet, you guys, pre-internet.
This is homing pigeons.
Yes, this is homing pigeons. But Zork, I actually played Zork when it was like not a lot of people had it. I played it on my friend Raina's computer and was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Because we used what? Imaginations, yeah.
Now, I'll tell you another reason why that was influential, and I don't know that it was Zork, but it was kind of the same feel, which the first time in a movie that you saw a kid playing a video game was Big. In Big, he was playing a text-based adventure.
I think it was Zork.
I think it was
because
Zork.
I think he was picking up.
So
a
that's
lantern or
pretty
something.
influential right there. I just gave you points for your influential.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ryan, which one do you want to talk?
I'm not going to pick a favorite here, but
No,
I'm
we're not.
going.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you right now. It's GoldenEye 007.
Oh,
the
absolutely.
First-person shooter that
Shooter.
made first-person shooters popular on consoles. It brought multiplayer to consoles. It brought co-op to consoles. It brought a lot to consoles that we had not had yet. I'm going to skip the Dooms. I'm going to skip the Wolfensteins. I'm going to go straight for the first-person shooter
I'd
that
agree.
GoldenEye brought.
And that's when everybody decided if they like first-person shooters or not, and that's when I decided I don't.
And the doors that opened after that.
Yeah,
Now, I've got a first-person shooter question for y'all because I can't play them because they make me want to puke.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you guys first-person shooter fans?
I can't play them on a handheld for sure.
Yeah,
but give me it on a console, on a TV,
and you're down.
Love it. Yeah.
I
love the chaos.
The delay in the turn. I don't know. It's a thing, man. It's like sitting in the back of the car trying to read.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I mean that was really big when I was when I was in the Navy. So we all played it, and that was just the one. I'm like, I just didn't like it. It just I mean, everything was inverted and all that. It's just, it gave me a first impression, and I've never gotten over it, I guess.
Do you feel like they've improved? Do you guys feel like they've improved?
Oh, yeah.
As
Massively.
far as
I mean, you can't nowadays. You cannot go back and play GoldenEye without it being like jarringly bad.
Mm-hmm.
But it just,
it's still fun.
What we've opened up since then because of that is, I mean, every genre. Like you can sit there and play all the games you want that you're swinging a sword around, but a part of you wants to just go, drop the clip in and lay waste.
Yeah. Like some other games we'll be talking about later, but we'll get to those. Now I want to get to my number one, not my favorite game, but this is the most influential game in the history of video gaming. I'm not talking about Pong. I will talk about that later. I'm talking about one, E.T. The game that nobody played because it was so... What did we learn? Why is this influential? Because this game was so epically bad that they couldn't release it. They buried 100,000 copies somewhere in a landfill, and they got discovered 50 years later or whatever. Honestly, it was the start of production control, I want to say, or quality control.
Licensing. It was a start of real licensing.
Real licensing,
because at that point anybody could make a game for any kind of system. So you had Atari. They had anybody. I could make an Atari game and sell it as an Atari game. It didn't even have to be good, and they were selling. And there were so many games, but they were just all so very well. Not all. 95% of them were all just so very bad. And it just so happened that E.T., because of the name behind it and everything, took the fall for just this horrible system that they had built up in the early 80s. And then, but that paved the way then for your actual licensing. Nintendo saying, hey, no, we're going to control our IPs.
Nintendo's very specific about who it works with.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes back to the beginning in the 80s.
Incredibly. But yeah, go ahead.
So now, who decided that the game was? I mean, give us for those of us who don't know the actual story. Give us kind of a little bit of the chronology of what happened.
From what I understand happened, I'd say the story is pretty mythical at this point. Okay. But they gave some developers money and they said, okay, make this. And then they kept pushing up the deadline, and it went to like a month that they had to develop the entire game. The developers were not happy, so they basically just put blobs on the screen, and I guess it kind of moved.
Because you can see some of the gameplay online. Yeah, so if our listeners want to take a look on the Googles.
It's hideously bad. Now, from what I understand, someone that was involved with the movie with the licensing, and this is where the licensing comes in, saw this and was upset. Yeah, so upset to the point, like throwing tables across the room, mad. So they gathered up everything that was about to go out for production and buried it and said they all sold for Christmas.
Now, as of 2010, this was a myth. Nobody knew it. Like it was the Nessie of video game.
Nobody had played it.
Nobody knew if this existed. Nobody knew what landfill. Nobody even knew if they actually buried all these or if they just burned them. But it was always this theory that they were buried in some landfill. And then probably 8 years ago, they did find that landfill.
They found it.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing moment.
There's a cool movie about it. There's a cool where they're filming it and everything when they find it. It's cool.
I am so glad that it happened, because otherwise we would still be getting garbage games because they could get away with it. This is the moment that somebody said, no, this is important. These video games are important enough to give a crap about. And that's why I think it's probably the most influential game ever made. It's the game you've never played, but that's my own kind of...
Do we want to skip like the Super Mario Brothers 3 that put a Nintendo in all your houses?
Well, no, we're going to get to that. No, I would say, but this was before Mario. But I don't think we have Mario because the beautiful graphics we got and all that. We'll get to Mario, and I'm sure someone's going to put Mario on there. It's on my list. Okay, Kevin, give me another one, bud.
So it's not a game. It's the most influential system of all time to be Dreamcast. It was the first system that had Yes, I had a Dreamcast, and I tell you, it's the first system to ever have internet. and it was the first system that had an MMO on it that wasn't a computer. Phantasy Star Online was one of the actual first MMOs, and we would not have. It just came out 2 years before everybody had the internet. And at that point, 2 years later, you had Xbox that used a lot of the same things that we're doing in Dreamcast, but they teed off on it actually having the internet. It proved that it could be done. I will stamp my foot. Dreamcast was one of the best systems, and nobody played it.
Yeah, I wanted one, but then it was like in and out of stores within like 3 months, and it was too expensive.
Before its time? Do you think it came
It was
out
before
maybe
its time.
a little bit before its time? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because we weren't so connected at that point.
If it would have came out 2 years later, we probably would still have Sega up to this. It's definitely one of the biggest gaps on timeline wise.
So, well, Sega also timelined that really poorly after
the Saturn. The Saturn just failed
they
horribly.
Fumbled the late '90s there, and 2 years in on the Dreamcast, they considered it a failure, and they sold off most of their stuff to what would end up being Xbox.
Yeah.
We would not have Xbox if it wasn't for Dreamcast.
You actually just reminded me, just going back to getting online. And systems that didn't quite make it. What about the Sega Channel? Do you guys remember the Sega Channel?
I vaguely remember the name of it.
It was on cable, and you would subscribe to the
and
Sega
I didn't
Channel.
do it. Yeah,
I so did it.
That was for the Master System, wasn't it?
That you played a lot of Sonic.
It was a lot of Sonic. There was no console. Oh, because this is going to, when you were talking about how what Fortnite's got and what Epic Games is doing is kind of the thing of the future. It has been tried before. Not as like into the world as Fortnite is, because right now Fortnite you enter that world, and then you've got this all of these games, a lot of which are terrible, but they're all in the same world, using the same IP. But yeah, that was a thing. So they keep trying it. It'll be interesting to see where we go, and if it's a matter of the technology catching up.
Sooner or later, it's not going to fail.
Sooner or later, I agree.
But I don't think we're there yet, and I know that a lot of people have hope on a lot of things. I don't think we are where we need to be yet. I think we're probably 10 years away.
Probably right.
If there's any, I know it's not really system, but if there's any IP that's close right now, it is Fortnite. With all the things they're doing, with all the things they're doing, and I don't play Fortnite. I just know the universe. I'm a video game fan, and everything that they're doing and trying to do, they're the closest when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Well, they've got so many partnerships, so they've that's
what's going to kill it?
A lot of money's coming in.
What's going to kill it is their greed, because yes, it's a free game, but we're going to charge you for everything. These kids are racking up $400 bills.
I think what's going to kill it is that there's a lot of poor devs out there that are just literally, it's just clickbait to get you into the game. So there's a lot of poor property,
weird adult stuff in there, and like, really?
Like literally, go in and smash buttons with zero intent. It's just to go in there and see the proprietary stuff. There's a lot of really not good stuff on there, but if you're lucky enough, you might find some things. Lego Fortnite's that's kind of a gas. It gets boring after a while. It's open world, but it's repetitive, so it's like. But
I'm hoping somebody brings up the Lego franchise. But go ahead, you're up.
Who's up?
Are you? Who's up? Satomi, I'm sorry.
My next influential one?
Yes.
All right, it's going to be Space Invaders, which brought the Midway games, in-person, practical Midway-style games to video games. Right. Right. It took Breakout to the next level. Instead of just having it just a bouncing ball, you actually had control over shooting those aliens. And it was also the first endless gameplay game. This is the precursor to all of your endless runners, precursor to any of you're just playing until you get that high score. And that came out in April of 1978.
And I don't know if you were aware of this with the Space Invaders. You know how it speeds up the faster it goes? That's actually a glitch. That's how it's supposed to be at the beginning. It's just it couldn't handle that much graphics moving. So that's why it goes so slow. And the more you shoot off, the faster it goes, because it can catch up to the speed of the game. The speed of the game is the last level.
It's like caching the programming as it's going.
Yep.
Oh, dude, I've never heard that.
Yep, that's how that was
Amazing.
made. So
Amazing.
and honestly, that's also part of that first level culture that we saw a lot of as far as a influential game. Because the first level is always the easy level. You kind of learn that's kind of went away now because they just have easy levels. But that first level is always supposed to be like your training level. That's kind of the start of it. I think anyway. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but yeah.
No, I have to agree, especially because it was so early. There was nothing else to really establish that.
Yeah.
So it's also one of the best tabletop games, but
Oh, Pac-Man was better. I will fight you to death on that one.
I you know what? And I will concede, but Space Invaders right behind it.
Okay, Ryan, go for it, bud.
Well, there's a little box on the bottom of every one of your now waning in real physical video games, but Mortal Kombat in 92 is
yes,
the reason why we have the ESRB. And we're trying to put blood in the
Gore!
game. And yeah. So we end up with the ESRB off of Mortal Kombat and Lethal Enforcers, and then there was another light gun game. Between those three, had to make the ESRB, and they dictate the game rating for every single game now, and is the reason why I had to have my buddy buy Fallout 3 for me when I was in high school.
No, I think that has done more to sell games than anything in the world is the rating. Because I remember when I was high school, that's when the Mortal Kombat stuff started happening and all that. You didn't want a game unless it had that little sticker on it.
Yeah,
true.
Rated T for blood.
What are they going to make the blood blue or something? So therefore, it's okay.
I have to say that when with those little pixels, I mean the blood, it was really gory. Like they got really gory with little.
Even above that, I mean, think about if I ask any one of you to say what the finishing line is in Mortal Kombat, you all know it. Finisher. Finish them.
Oh, I'm just hearing the theme song playing like on repeat. Mortal Kombat. But
well, yeah, that they actually got sued. I don't know if you know this. They got sued by the chiropractors union. They had to take one of their moves out. Well, they changed the name, but they called it the adjustment or something. You'd rip a spine out and then crack it in half. The chiropractic Doctors of America sued to get that taken out.
Oh, that's fun.
That's amazing.
But how influential is a game that will change medical practice?
Right.
That's pretty freaking influential, and that's amazing to me. And that's really, what I'm talking about. That yes, everybody pays attention to it.
Goes past your average gamer. It goes past your target audience.
Yep. So
for a second, I thought you were going to say that the kids were like trying to do moves from the game.
You didn't hear of that much.
No, you didn't.
Because most kids aren't that stupid.
No,
believe it or not.
Oh, there's a reason there's a warning on the jacket.
There is. Parenting, guys. Parenting. I'm just saying. Yes, because it's 100% because of Kevin.
Because of Kevin's age group.
Because Kevin's wrong with everything.
Dang it, Kevin.
Dang it, Kevin.
I was the jackass age group. I don't know. I was. Tyler and I definitely were.
Are you the reason why on wrestling they say don't try this at home? Are you it?
100%.
Kevin was absolutely trying it out. Even with the warning.
My sister got power bombed so many times.
Oh. I was going to say you've got the scars to prove, but your sister has the scars to prove it.
Yes. And she loved every minute of it.
Okay. I want to hit, speaking of a game that literally transcends, the video game space, it's Minecraft. Everybody in the world knows what Minecraft is. Everybody makes Minecraft their own game. It really set the bar. It's not a game that there's no rules to it. I mean, yes, there's a story if you go through it. You can play that game for 10 years and never play the story once. It is whatever you want to make it. And there's something so creative and so free and so different from anything else. Everybody, and what Roblox and all that other crap that wanted to be Minecraft. Nothing has been as good as Minecraft. And it is it's like that 16-bit graphic in 128, whatever it is now. It's remarkable to me. It's I feel like that is, try to find a TV show without a Minecraft reference on it somewhere. Everything in the last 10 years has had a Minecraft reference in at least one episode.
So do you think one of the biggest things is that it handed the creativity to the user?
Exactly. And that's what changed.
Video games version of Legos. It's video games version of Legos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's the precursor to something like Fortnite.
Mhm.
Or there's some other ones that it's a precursor to.
Anytime
that
you're building your own world.
I think
Yeah.
it's really it's the precursor to like Stardew Valley.
God, I
The
forgot about that.
relaxing type games.
Mhm.
Think about how popular Animal Crossing was when the
Oh,
Switch
yeah.
version came out. I mean, just
The COVID
astronomically
saver.
more popular than it was. But I mean, Minecraft's on it's probably on the most consoles of any game.
It
at
is
this
on the most
point.
consoles of any
And
other.
we looked it up the other
And
day.
I remember playing that as a beta before anybody knew what it was. Like a friend of mine found it when we were in college, and we were playing like pirated copies that we had found, and like there's no the Nether didn't exist. Nether portals weren't a thing. Redstone wasn't a thing. It was literally just mining for diamonds.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun.
What I find amazing is they make computers inside of Minecraft that work.
Yeah.
That to me, there's something so special about this game. I think this is the game we'll be talking about to our grandkids, and I'm not kidding. I think it's going to be that. I think when my grandkids have kids, I think that they will still be playing Minecraft. I think it's made that much of a cultural difference.
It made the entry level into video games that much easier.
It's
anybody
like the
can sit down and
MySpace.
play it.
Yeah, it's
But
like the
think about
MySpace
trying to teach your kid to play video games. The first thing, here, just hold this button down. You can knock a tree. You can break a tree.
You guys see
dig a hole.
they showed a gorilla how to play Minecraft. They've taught gorillas how to play Minecraft. That's how they're teaching them how to play video games.
So even you can learn how to play there, Kevin, right?
Oh.
I don't care for it too much. My daughter plays. I watch her. She's building a big mountain cave right now. So
no, and they say it's kids with some mental disabilities. It helps.
Oh,
So
okay. So like with developmental challenges.
With developmental challenges, that's the right way of saying it. Thank you. Yeah,
you're welcome. I
appreciate that.
I'm sorry, but you said they caught gorillas to play this, and all I can think of is a video that I recently saw of a baby gorilla that keeps touching an adult gorilla's butt.
Off in them weeds.
So now I'm thinking like he's. No, like the gorilla's playing Minecraft. He's like, leave me alone, dude.
If somebody doesn't take this segue to talk about Donkey Kong, Kevin, what's your next one, bud?
Dude,
what's in Donkey Kong? It would have to be. I mean, we're gonna have to say it. I mean, we could all agree it's Mario.
Absolutely,
Mario.
Super Mario.
Super Mario. We mentioned it earlier.
Big difference.
Well, no, I mean, even so, Super Mario. The Mario Brothers.
Mario Brothers is different than Super Mario Brothers.
Yes, Mario Brothers was like a Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Okay. Mario Brothers, the two brothers that were Mario and Luigi, Mario and Luigi Mario. That's their last names. That's the most influential duo throughout all of video games. And the fact that we have video games, you have shirts, you have movies now, you have a cartoon back in the day, you have all this other stuff. I mean, it's up there. It is, when people think of video games, they think of Mario. Brothers. It is what saved video games. That saved video games. If E.T. was the one that destroyed it, Mario Brothers saved it. You can say Super Mario Brothers, Mario and Luigi, they saved it.
Now, do you mean it saved home gaming versus
it
saved home gaming?
It killed the arcade. Okay. That's part of what killed the arcade.
Destroyed the arcade.
Video killed the Radio Star, and Super Mario killed
the arcade.
Well, it's the reason why everybody's mother or whatever calls it a Nintendo, no matter what it is.
It's like a Coke. It's what kind of Coke you want? Pepsi,
exactly.
Okay.
Or a Kleenex. Yep.
Or a sauna. Sorry,
a sauna. But you did mention Donkey Kong, and actually Donkey Kong is on my list, but not because of the gaming, but because of the franchise that it kicked off. It's the first time we were introduced to Mario. And did you know this was in 81, and did you guys know that Mario originally was supposed to be Popeye?
No.
He was
Really?
originally supposed to be Popeye. They had licensing issues, and so it became Mario. But the reason that I really, really chose it is because of composer Yukio Kaneoka, who was also the creator of the original NES sound. So we're talking about the 5-channel soundtrack that defines every single Nintendo game after that.
Brilliantly
if you
composed.
hear it in your
Yes.
brain, and it was literally just, it was, there was a noise, like almost a white noise channel that was doing percussion. You only had 2 like real melody channels. You had a sample channel. I mean, it was like it. For our nerds out there were 2 pulse and 1 triangle and a noise channel and a sample channel, and
I know
that's
what all that
all
means.
he had, and created some of the most memorable soundtracks that we still sing
Oh yeah.
today. So that is why that game is
That's a
so
good one.
influential. Thank you. I worked
Very
on that. You can
good.
tell I did my research, man. It
I'm
happens
impressed.
sometimes. Thank you.
Ryan, give me one.
Let's go. Everybody has a subscription now for their online games. Now Kevin already got into it, but I'm gonna say Halo 2 because it made Xbox Live
a thing.
like a thing, and Xbox Live is now like almost, I mean, it's Game Pass now. But you end up with PlayStation Network, Nintendo Switch Online.
You
pretty much can't operate video games without the online experience.
Get called every
in
racist
some
thing
way
by a
now.
9-year-old in the world there. I love that. It's
You
the
mentioned
best.
right
Wow,
on
these
top of
kids are
that.
terrible. I can't. That's why I don't go
Right on
online.
top of that is you mentioned Game Pass. Game Pass is one of the, I mean, it's changed video
A lot.
games on how we play. I was thinking on whether to get a PlayStation or an Xbox, the Series X or the PS5, and I actually got the Series X just because I knew that if I paid $12 a month, I would have like 100 games.
Now go
And
to GameStop and
PS5
try and
has
find
that
an
too.
Xbox game, and the selection is fractional compared
Yes.
to PlayStation. Not only is PlayStation just more popular, but
here we
with
go.
Game Pass, it's just
It is
not.
right.
It's not necessary. You don't have
I
to
have
buy the
PlayStation
game.
now. I will agree with him. But Game Pass has really changed a lot when it comes to video games.
Well, I think they're going to constantly, because they are competitors, they're going to constantly be working to one up each other. And I have a feeling that is
We
exactly
want
it.
that.
They're just exactly as consumers.
Yeah, without 2 players in the market pushing each other, there's no reason.
There's no reason for them to
100%.
grow.
Right, exactly.
They want everybody to want to have multiple consoles, which is which brings us back to the whole, eventually this will go online, but I do think there's still going to be proprietary with exclusive titles on the different, online platforms, but it'll
100%.
still be there.
But if you wait long enough, like I give the example, the only reason I wanted PlayStation, the only reason, and this will be my next pick, is because of one game, and that's Tomb Raider. I love the Tomb Raider franchise. It's fantastic. I'll get into why in a minute. But if you wait long enough, it'll eventually, like, you know what? This contract's over. I'm going to make about $10 billion more. Okay, you can have 2 Xbox. Great. Now, I want to talk about the Tomb Raider for a second. I think it's the second female character. And here's the deal. I mean, we can talk about girl power, yada, yada. Girls can play. Every guy I know loved to play as Lara Croft. Not because she was a girl, but because it was a great character. They got everything right on that. They got nobody was a superhero. It was real life.
Parkour.
She could do parkour.
Who could do parkour.
And she was
Lara
hot.
Lara Croft was my first video game crush, and I think that she was
that's a fact.
Most boys
guys
my age, middle school, first video game crush.
I am so on the scale. I am very straight, and she was my first video game crush. Okay, I mean, come on, she's not bad. She's just drawn that way.
Well, I was in the Navy when that one came out, so you can imagine the conversations.
You can sail the 7 seas. I'm going to say it every time you say that.
YMCA.
Hey! You're the one always telling me not to sing.
So I think that was an important game, and not just because of the female thing, but because of just the open world of it, the problem challenging. And they did something that was so cool with that. And I don't know if you guys ever picked up on it. Anybody could play that game because it's all you got to do is figure out the next puzzle. It's not like a bunch of games where you have to beat big bad guys. You just have to figure out the next puzzle. And if you take it slow enough, you're going to be able to figure out every puzzle. Okay, well, jump here to jump here to jump here. Okay,
but you still had the bad guys.
Yeah, the bad guys, but it wasn't like,
Yeah.
It wasn't like you had to fight Shang Tsung.
It wasn't like Cuphead where you just
God, I hate that game.
Drill a hole through your head.
That game
is evil.
like Super Meat Boy's ridiculous.
Painful.
It's the devil. Oh, it's hard. But
games I will never play.
But that's why I wanted to put Tomb Raider on my list. Kevin, you got another one? Or you're starting to run out?
Well, no. I mean, there's so many good ones. I'm just going to go ahead and stick with Nintendo here. And Zelda, Legend of Zelda, is
somebody had to say it.
Yeah, it's RPG. I'm a big RPG fan. I love RPGs. Love the history of it. As I mentioned Skyrim earlier, but we would not have Skyrim if we did not have Zelda. It revolutionized that search. You had to have a book first of all. So I went through a couple years back. I was gonna say, you know what? I've never beat Zelda. I'm gonna beat it, and I'm gonna beat it with no book. It's an impossibility. You have to have a book because there is you have to throw a bomb. There's nothing showing you like they did in Link to the Past or whatever, where they actually have little cracks in the wall. No, the game was supposed to be played with a book, and you're going through, and it was one of the most fun experiences. Me doing it, and it's a great game. Great game. Still holds up to this day.
Couldn't we say that was the first RPG?
Yes. Well, so here's the thing.
One of the first mainstream RPGs.
Okay.
So I did here. I'm going to bring my research hat here because Zelda is so much more important than people even can give it credit for. Because along with being that first major RPG, it was the first game that you could save your progress.
Really?
And not only could you save your progress, it was vital to playing the game, right?
Huge.
Because you had hours and hours and hours. Also, the guy who wrote the backstory for the manual was a screenwriter. So you had like a serious creative, a cinematic creative who was creating this backstory. Hence, it wasn't just let me have a book to figure out how to do all of these puzzles. It was the whole game had a huge arc.
Yeah.
Not only that, does everybody know where Zelda came from? Where the name Zelda came from?
It was his daughter, right?
Nope.
Okay, what is it?
Nope. Zelda was named after F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife.
Oh, I knew it was okay.
Yep. So Miyamoto, who I think he directed it. So Shigeru Miyamoto, who was responsible for a ton of the NES games, and Takashi Tezuka. I'm very, very excited because y'all, I'm half Japanese, so I get to say Japanese.
Are you turning Japanese?
So. I really think so. I'm actually German Japanese. I think I'm German
Japanese. I really think so.
And so, but also that Miyamoto said that Zelda actually inspired Animal Crossing. Speaking of Animal Crossing, and then finally that score. We're going to talk music again because I can't help it. It was originally supposed to be Ravel's Bolero. Was apparently that was supposed to be the original one.
Really?
But late in development, the copyright had not yet expired. I can sing it because it's now public domain. But so the composer who was Koji Kondo wrote a new arrangement of the overworld theme within a day, and that is the one that everybody knows that I can't sing.
If you guys like lo-fi, if you guys like the Zelda, look up Zelda and Chill on YouTube.
Yep.
It's a lo-fi. It's so good. Zelda and Chill, and then you have Zelda and Chill 2. It's the people will come into my office like, what are you listening to? No, don't worry about it. It's really good. It calms me down. It's so good.
I'm subscribing right now simply because you said. And there's actually a lot of we should do a show on
music.
On the music of video games, but there are all kinds of cover bands that do amazing things because this music is fantastic. It's fantastic. So, all right. Thus endeth the lesson.
Okay, what's your next one there, Satomi?
So what I want to do is I want to throw in just a couple of quick honorable mentions. So Pitfall, of course, where you're talking about, endless side scroller. And then Pole Position, which we would not have Grand Theft Auto without Pole Position. I also want to talk really briefly about the electromechanical games that were the precursor to all of this. So these were the practical ones that you actually held in your hands, and they were boxes with
football.
Digital Derby was one of them. I had an earlier one
football,
I had an earlier one that was literally like LED lights and then like a little lever with a car on it, and you just had to.
I remember that.
Oh yeah,
right?
you go back and
right,
forth.
right.
You don't want to hit the vehicles.
Look how happy Kevin looks right now. That's so cute.
Yeah, I had one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Still
right?
have one.
So it's like, we would not be where we are today without those practical electromechanical games, right?
Yeah.
So, but I have to go into this because these games are near and dear to my heart, to the point where I get emotional about some of them because I will cry at the end. Final Fantasy. There are, thank you. There are 16 numbered Final Fantasies. There are so many spin-offs, re-releases, you name it, that it's actually, if you go online and look, it's hard to get a solid number on the games because nobody knows what to count. It's floating around like 136 right now, but it could be more. And I mean, I think they were the first ones that took story to this next level, to the point.
Final Fantasy 3 broke so many barriers when it came to that on Super Nintendo, which is I think it's our Final Fantasy 4 or something like that. But yeah, it's
with the re-release of
3
7
like
now,
6?
and
I thought 3 was Final Fantasy 6.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, for me, 15 had me literally sitting there and crying for like 3 days.
Lightning. Wait, 15 is not Lightning. 14 is Lightning.
No, yeah, 15 is the one with Nox, and it's like, I don't want to give it away. But the end was just like, it wrecked me.
I'm playing 16 right now. I'm towards the end, and Ryan has
I just beat 7's first part of the remake. Like 3 days ago.
And then he also just beat Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X, which
Final
was
Fantasy
one of my favorite Final Fantasy games. One of the best soundtracks.
Final Fantasy X is the game that like I got given as a kid and had no business. I wasn't that kind of gamer. I was I was playing Madden, NASCAR games, and MVP baseball. So I had no business playing like that RPG. And I remember last September I went back and like it was a big thing for me to like finally beat this game that had kind of like loomed over me for all those years, and it was such a cool experience to go back and it was that game that when I got my PlayStation 2, just I couldn't really get that far in it.
I mean, don't you feel that the Final Fantasy, what they perfected was that feeling of being a character in your own movie?
I was just gonna say that Final Fantasy was one of the first games where I felt feelings on, and they you felt feelings like Final Fantasy. Oh, you're playing. I'm not gonna say anything, but there's moments like in Final Fantasy 7 where you're like, oh, like you feel it, and
the music is just second to none. I would say it's probably the most top notch of video game music that exists.
Every single one that they released, not only that, but all of them kept taking the graphics to the next level as well. So every time another one came out, it was like, you'd be like, oh, no, it can never get better than this. And then they'd release the next one, and it was like, oh my God, it can't get better than this.
Now, I've always wanted to jump into the series. It's PlayStation only for way too long. And by now, I feel like I'm so far behind.
You're not.
I don't know
how
how
none of the stories are actually like attached to each other. So
think
you're not behind
7's
at all.
the only one that's helpful to play to kind of get the world, but
I
you don't need
would
it.
play the Final Fantasy VII remake. Like as an intro, that's a very, very easy one to get into. And it's not a very, very long game to go through. I mean, 24-hour complete time's not ridiculous
I
for a
just
video
played
game now.
100 hours on the Assassin's Creed. I think it'll be okay.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I would jump in on that Final Fantasy VII remake. It's
Do it.
gorgeous.
I second that. You definitely should.
It's gorgeous, and it's a great entry point for somebody who hasn't
I
played
will.
them.
That's gonna be the next thing I check out. Then
Mhm.
outstanding. Okay, Ryan, give us one. Your final one, pretty much.
I am going to give you the Pokemon games. The
Great
cards,
call.
like what
Great
that
call.
what that card game was. Like for me growing up, like I got Pokemon at the right time. I got it I was the perfect age for that. I'm trading cards on the playground. The anime is stretching past 27 years now, 28
Good
years.
grief.
Just finished.
Wait,
All
on
the movies. Yeah, well,
It's
they
really
ran
27?
they ran Ash for 25 seasons before they ended his character.
Yeah, they ended the
We're
character
entering
arc
into the
last
10th
year.
generation of the games. It's unbelievable the amount of life that this has. And what that
Like it went
actually
to college and graduated and got its first job and got a raise. Okay,
the
continue.
kids who were buying Pokemon Yellow and Red and Blue like day one, you know, I've got 3 kids running around, and I remember getting my copy of Pokemon Crystal with my grandmother at GameStop.
Oh,
Wow.
My daughter fell in love with anime. She fell in love with video games because of Pokemon, and it was something that I hadn't played in years and years and years. And then she started noticing the characters, and so I got her Let's Go Pikachu, which is a great entry level on the Switch. And then all of a sudden she fell in love with Pokemon. Then all of a sudden her and I are bonding over it. Like I'm relearning all the old Pokemon, and it's spanning generations now at this point. It's really a beautiful, beautiful game. Pokemon is.
Yeah, my daughter sleeps with a Pikachu doll, and you know, comes up on the TV. They know exactly who it is. Even though they're still not old enough to really play video games, they know who the Pokemon characters are.
that is wild. Well, that's one of the ones that has had so when we were talking about influential games, one of the things that came to mind was not only influencing gaming today, but the cultural influences that they've had, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to throw in, first of all, that my favorite game of all time is Horizon Zero Dawn, and I'm so mad that I wasn't on the last episode and I didn't get to talk about how amazing that game is.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel better. I just had to get that
It's on my to play list. I will play it.
Did you play Forbidden West yet?
Oh, hell yeah.
So good.
Great editing. That was
good.
outstanding.
You sit there and say Laura Croft is an amazing female character. Aloy is top notch.
Oh my god,
of a female character,
and especially when you have a sequel that you're like, oh, can you
I don't know if
improve
this
on
is gonna
something
work.
that's already so good? It was so good, so good. That was another one I cried. I wept at the end of the first one. Wept. So, but what I want to talk about actually is Last of Us. Because what that has done, even though there have been video games that have been turned into movies, right? We have had nothing that has been the cultural phenomenon that Last of Us was with one season. That now we have flippin' somebody help me. It starts with
Fallout.
an F. Fallout.
Fallout.
No, we have
Fallout.
and then so that actually Horizon Zero Dawn was on the roster to be turned into a series. Unfortunately, it's been shelved for now because there's some issues apparently that they were concerned
with the way
about.
movies are going. It's not unfortunate. It's probably better.
Well, if
I'm a
they
curmudgeon, I know.
If they were to do the Last of Us treatment of it, where if you were to get well, the thing is, you get these great writers, but they've already got a great script because it's already written into the game.
It's just it would be a high budget project.
Extremely. The
You're
CG
putting
on it would
robot
have to
dinosaurs
be-
out there, and you got to call Michael Bay back up.
Yeah.
Please don't. Because that's just another Megan Fox.
Oh, do you call George
That's right.
Miller up then? Because he did Fury Road. I mean, you could have him do it.
Oh my
Fury
gosh.
Road was a lot of explosions.
Yes, I mean they've got to get those robot dinos like they got to get them perfect and all of yeah. You and I are going to have a conversation about Horizon Zero Dawn afterwards because it's I think it will be very influential.
She's verklempt now.
But yes, I am very verklempt. But going back to just Last of Us becoming a cultural phenomenon that has kicked off this incredible time of taking these incredible stories that are already built into these games and bringing it to the small screen and the exposure that it's creating for video games.
Yeah.
I think is very influential.
Ryan and I have talked on multiple occasions that the best the best form of media, in my opinion, is video or storytelling is video games, because you're able to you're able to actually you're a part of it, and so you become, you mentioned Final Fantasy where you're wrapped up in it. It becomes that, and so to see it go on to shows like your Last of Us TV show, your Fallout, and still carry that same feeling. It's special, and it's because they didn't alter it too much, and they just kind of kept that core there.
Well,
Even in Last of Us, they use some of the same voice act. I mean, for the voice actors, they use some of them in the show. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Well, you talk about when it comes down to gaming, it had a stigma, and you're right. Shows like The Last of Us are changing that stigma, but it is the best form of media. I've been Ash Ketchum. I've been Cloud Strife. I've been Aloy. I've been Lara Croft. I've been Nathan Drake. I've been Master Chief. I've been Super Mario. And I've lived all of those lives. And that's just like when I sit down at the end of the night, I don't sit there and watch Law and Order until I'm bored to tears. I turn on a game and I enter another world.
Yes.
Fair. Now,
I agree completely.
And just because, and I'm not even going to throw out my last answer just so I can say this. As far as storytelling, I think the best storytelling from video games has a really great platform in the Telltale games. I've talked about these a million times to you guys. There's Wolf Among Us, there's Walking Dead, there's Game of Thrones, there's Minecraft.
Tales of Borderlands.
It's amazing. To me, that is the best platform for straight up storytelling in video games.
Who's their developer? Because personally, I'm a big fan
Telltale.
of Square.
It's
Telltale is the developer.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I mean, Square is really killing it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the brand of RPG that I'm an RPG gamer for sure. So,
Yeah.
That's just taste. I feel like I brought the conversation to a screeching halt. Sorry
It's all
about that.
good.
I had an opinion.
I got to kill it. So with that, check out the website, www.iheartgeekshow.com. Use the com. We paid extra for
it.
Check out the Facebook, the Twitter, the everything. Talk to us. We do talk back. Even Kevin does, because it's like watching a monkey type. It's adorable, but he will type back to you if you address him on our social media. Good, Kevin. I love you, Kevin. I do.
I can't do the special heart thing where we're gonna just imagine I'm farting all over you. Okay.
Kevin is hearting all over
all over the place
you right now.
Yes.
All over you.
So I'm Dub. I'm here with Ryan. I'm here with Kevin. I'm here with my co-host Satomi. Keep on geeking on, guys. We'll see you next time.
Fun geeking on.
You have been listening to the latest episode of the iHeart Geek Show. Make sure you visit our website at www.iheartgeekshow.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep on geeking on to all of you geek rock stars.